learners, we've been discussing about amicus curiae submission. In the first segment, in the last video, we looked at the significance of amicus curiae submission in investment arbitration, especially in those disputes where an environmental measure is challenged. So that was the first video we saw. So in the second segment, we will look at the practice of accepting amicus curiae submission in World Trade Organization. As you are aware, dispute settlement body is the body that is responsible for resolving trade dispute between countries in the context of World Trade Organization, and the procedural aspects that the dispute settlement body relies on is called dispute settlement understanding. And dispute settlement understanding do not explicitly talk about amicus curiae submission, but the question of accepting amicus curiae submission became significant in one of the trade dispute, which was United States shrimp case. As you may already know that India was one of the complaining members to this particular case. So in this case, this is the first case where the appellate body had decided on the question of amicus curiae submission, and while looking at this question, there was reference to the provisions of dispute settlement understanding. Appellate body remarked that Article 12 allows the panel to deviate from the working procedures that is mentioned in appendix 3 of dispute settlement understanding, and the rationale behind conferring a power on the panel to deviate from the working procedure that is already mentioned in the document is because so that there can be high quality panel reports without any delay to the panel proceeding as well. So that's the rationale behind giving a procedural flexibility to the panel as well. So appellate body, in the light of Article 12 had stated that flexibility is given there, and also panel has a power to request information, but DSU is silent on what about the non-requested information that is submitted to the panel. So that DSU does not talk about. So appellate body, while looking at Article 12, Article 13 had stated that there is a broad authority is given to the panel, and the breadth of this authority is again dependent on the facts of the case and for the application of legal rules on the facts of those cases. And especially Article 11 of DSU says that the panel has to make an objective assessment of the matter before it. So therefore, appellate body concluded that by holistically looking at the provision, the panel has an authority, the appellate body has an authority to accept amicus curiae submissions. So the US shrimp is the first case where there was acceptance of amicus curiae submission. One other case that may be relevant for our current discussion in the context of WTO is US lead and bismuth 2 case, and in this case also the appellate body stated that there is nothing in the rules, that is DSU provisions, which explicitly allows the appellate body to accept amicus curiae submissions. At the same time, there is nothing in the DSU provisions which explicitly bars them from accepting amicus curiae submissions, and therefore the appellate body here stated that as long as it do not conflict with the applicable rules, the appellate body has an authority to accept amicus submissions. But while deciding on the question of whether it will accept amicus submissions, then the appellate body will look at two factors. One is the pertinency and the relevancy of the amicus submission to the matter before it. So deciding on these two factors, the appellate body will take a decision with regard to whether it will accept amicus curiae submission. So to some extent, this sort of had become a settled principle in the context of World Trade Organization, in the context of dispute settlement body. Now the power to accept amicus submission is something that is understood in the context of dispute settlement body. Appellate body and panel can accept amicus submission, and this was also the question in investment dispute as well. Some of the investment dispute, PACRIM, Methanex, all of them had to look at the issue of accepting amicus submission. So what we will see in the next video is what about the arbitration rules? I mean, as we know, as you already know that unsettled arbitration rules, ICSID arbitration rules are the primarily the one that are invoked in the context of investor-state arbitration. In that sense, whether these arbitration rules, do they permit for acceptance of amicus submission? That is something that we will see in the next video. Then after that, we will look at Methanex case, which is the very first investment arbitration where this question of accepting amicus curiae had come up. So therefore, it is only pertinent, I mean, it is demanded from us that we take a closer scrutiny of Methanex case in order to completely understand the scope of amicus curiae submission in the context of investment dispute. So in the next video, we will discuss about, let us look at the rules, the applicable rules, and how do they permit accepting amicus curiae submission. So then we will take the discussion forward. Thank you.